Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and from Patreon subscriber Otis, this is another take on Phelia Control. Last time I played this, it was the low to the ground version with stifles and dazes. This version is going all the way to the moon. We've got Narset and back to basics, additional 3 mana threats in the deck. There is no mana disruption other than the back to basics, but no wasteland, no daze, no stifle. We are trying to play long, grindy, fair games, which is an interesting time to try to do this. I am recording this post Secrets of Strixhaven release. Flow State is out there. The tempo decks can grind well into the mid game. Narset doesn't stop that from happening because of Flow State, and we're going to stress test what we can do about that. Lots of white removal, part of the answer. Keep the threats off the board while they spin their wheels. Containment Priest with Phelia, also little backdoor removal there. And, of course, we have the scam option of just having a bigger creature than them earlier. Narset does still shut down the cantrips that would find the flow states, but the flow state itself still puts cards in hand. But if those cards are cantrips, that's less good. And we got a little graveyard hit here, Rest in Peace, pretty powerful against those style of decks right now. For those of you who have been waiting for flow state decks to hit my channel, I am back from MagicCon Vegas. I was out there for over a week. Flow state stuff will start very soon. Don't worry, those decks are in the queue. But today, we are the good guy. We're fighting against the flow state, trying to meet them where they are in the grindy field of mid-range and late-game battles. Let's see if blue-white still has the juice. This is blue-white control. I'm on the play in round 1, betrayed by the basic land mana base. I would probably keep if this was Tundra. I would definitely keep if it was Flooded Strand, but I can't roll the dice on this. Gonna mulligan. It's getting worse. 21 lands. Yeah, 21 lands with 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder. This is a responsibly constructed mana base. This is just unlucky. I do like to check, because I don't always get decks sent to me that are well constructed. Like, sometimes I mulligan 2 hands like that, and I look, and it's like 18 lands in the control deck. I'm like, well, that's not right. But 21 is very right. We're just... Oh, come on. Bad beats, bad beats. Well, can I have a hand? All right. Here we go. This is a multi 4. God, that's so few cards. But that does turn on Riddler faster. Game on, I guess. Pass the turn. My opponent has a 61 card deck. Are we getting Oops All Spelled? Lands, I think, is also playing 61 these days. Okay, it's neither Oops All Spells nor lands. I cannot afford to fight that thing. Ponder. Okay, I could ponder looking for one of my 1 mana interactive spells. I'm going to do that. Because if I can find a removal spell... there we go. And there's Caracas also. Oh, I'm going to have to shuffle to kill the Tameo anyway. And I've already made my land drop. I can't just bounce it with Caracas and redraw these cards. That's fine. All right. I'll take the thing I rolled the dice on. And if I draw a land, Riddler can draw 2 cards next turn. Or to undo this mulligan. I don't know what this Soporific Springs Tameo deck is. Is this just a mirror and this is their 1-of? If they have this in their deck as a 1-of land, like if this is ninjas or something, that probably was the only land in their opening hand. Because you don't lead on that if you have any other land. Brainstorm hit land drop. Alright, I'll just warp one of these Riddlers then. If they force this, that's actually sick. I can force back and then draw 2 cards. Didn't force it. And mediocre results. I did find a blue card to go with my force, though. I can force something, and then Quantum Riddler to draw 2 cards guaranteed. Kept their card on top with Surveil. Urza Saga. What is going on over there? I think I want to Brainstorm here. Oh no. Is this Hull Breacher? Okay. Force of Negation I can live with. That lets me Riddler for 2 cards. They still have 5 cards in their hand to my now 3. Don't love those odds. But I did get to do something. I don't have a dress down. Oh, there is a dress down. Okay, there is a dress down in the main. That's good. I do have an out to sweep up Urza Saga nonsense. I wonder if this is Cephalid Breakfast and they just have 1 Soporific Springs in the deck to increase their force hits. But this particular combination of cards, the Tameo, the Springs, and the Urza Saga, is pretty strange. Another Saga. Torpor Orb. Oh, your Dreadnought. Fun, 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 fun. Okay. Well, I can't let this Torpor Orb resolve, or else these Urza Sagas are going to crap out multiple Dreadnoughts over the next few turns. I'm going to force pitching Brainstorm. I'd rather have Ponder without a shuffle available. Force me back pitching Brainstorm. Okay. All right. We're going to have some Dreadnoughts to work through here. Well, there's one. Ponder. Teferi's pretty nice, actually. Okay, I will take the land. I'm also trying to unlock these Riddlers in Warp. Okay, they're making constructs, as well as likely tutoring. Dreadnoughts, if they tutor Pithing Needle here, whatever, I take the Owl on the Flooded Strand, but then they don't have a Dreadnought, and I just have to be okay with that. End step, Swords to Plowshares. Draw to Fairy. He's got Brainstorm under him. Clear this Construct token. I do have a Surveil land in the deck. Or I could Brainstorm now, trying to hit my land for Quantum Riddler next turn. I think I actually am going to Brainstorm now. That leaves me Hellbent. Well, if I hit the land drop, like I'm hoping to. Land Lockmare, Swords to Plowshares. Tap target creature with a stun counter on it is one of the rules sets, one of the things that Lockmare does. That's actually pretty big. That costs 5 total to do that. My opponent will have 3 artifacts. Lockmare might actually be better than Swords to Plowshares here. Crazy to think, but okay. If my opponent has something like a Lava Spur Boots, they could clear Teferi here while they know the coast is clear, but that means they searched for for Lava Spur Boots instead of for Dreadnought. I've got another Dreadnought. Cool. Ponder. Draw the Lockmare. Activating Lockmare is going to shuffle away the Swords to Plowshares that I don't love. So this guy better carry. This covers the Dreadnought for 2 turns. All right. That is one of the less exciting things that could happen, because that means Teferi's dead, but the Dreadnought is still covered for 2 turns here. I would have fetched in my main phase if I didn't have Teferi in play, because if they move to combat, I fetch, they plow Lockmare in response, and then I don't have mana up to remove counters and stun the Dreadnought. That's terrible for me. But because of Teferi, I was able to wait till the last second there. I can deploy a Riddler this turn. It won't draw any cards. But if it remains in play, its static ability will continue to affect my regular draw steps and cantrips after that point. Oh god. Bad news, team. Pretty cooked. And they're still fetching. This is another Dreadnought. A Tamiyo. Alright. In a bit of trouble here, but I can play Quantum Riddler. They can annihilate one of my basic islands. I can block Null Drifter with Quantum Riddler. If they have a removal spell here, I'm mostly dead. But if their hand is nothing, I'm actually kind of cooking. Yeah, good attack, because the Tamiyo makes the construct bigger as well. The Null Drifter, the Annihilator on that thing is significant enough that I can't really afford to block the Tamiyo. Tamiyo clue used right away. That means they were chasing an answer to Riddler more than they were trying to deal damage, which hopefully I can punish. Alright, I draw 2 cards per turn. Phelia and Force of Will. That's not great. That's a little late. Yeah, 12-12 Dreadnought. Maybe I should have just taken the Swords of Plowshares and dealt with that thing for real, rather than the Lockmare. But I was trying to protect Teferi. Wrath of the Sky is quite good against everything they're doing. Prismatic Ending, good. Consigned to Memory can counter Dreadnoughts and Null Drifters. And Saga Chapters. Force Negation, not that serious. I actually do like Back to Basics. This is probably an Ancient Tomb deck, even though we didn't see one that game. I think I can just go way lower on Force of Will also. And that was the game I mulled to 4, and it was still that close. A Containment Priest can give me a backdoor to flicker out their big creatures. It also stops them from tutoring for Dreadnoughts from Urza Saga. It also stops me from flickering my own creatures. Little give and take on that one. Do I want Lavinia in here? Or Savine's Wreck? I mean, Savine's Wreck grinding Teferi's back into play after they kill him is pretty crazy. I don't think they're going to bring a Graveyard Hate against me. We saw Force and Negation game 1, so they have more than the 5 forces, or more than the 4 normal Force of Wills in their 75. I actually do like Lockmare. The tap stun is pretty big. Yeah, I might just go 1 less Consigned to Memory. I have 1 in the main already. Can I get this Savine's Wreck in here? This deck probably has stock up in it. I don't know that Narset's actually very good. Okay. I'll try this. I'll keep this hand with 3 answers to Phyrexian Dreadnought and 2 lands to play the game with. Ponder. Alright, I mean, Caracas and Teferi are both cards I'm happy to see. I'll grab that Caracas in case my opponent tries to lead on a cheeky little Tamiyo again. I'll take this opportunity to air a grievance I have with the magic rules. I do not understand why Torpor Orb and Dress Down stop Evoke from sacrificing the creature, but they don't stop Warp or Dash from exiling or bouncing the creature. Like, I understand rotely that that is how it works, but I don't understand why Evoke grants sacrifice this to the creature itself as an ability that can be taken off said creature, whereas Warp and Dash are delayed triggers regardless of what the creature actually is doing. It is just silly and unintuitive. Those 3 things feel like they should be the same thing to me. And I say this because I would really like to scam out my Quantum Riddlers if my opponent's going to be out here casting Torpor Orb. Alright, we're back playing chicken with this shit. I will just chicken with it. If they brainstorm in response here, I'll Prismatic Ending the flipped Tamiyo on the backside. I would rather have 2 white sources here. Like, I'm going to get Tundra even though Back to Basics is in my deck, but my hand is asking a lot of me color-wise. Tundra, Prismatic Ending. Okay, so they just had an awkward no-shuffle brainstorm in the middle of my turn for no real gain. Saga. I'm slightly better against that than I was last game. Pithing Needle. Is this going to predict the Teferi in my hand, or are they just going to name the Caracas that's face up? Or go somewhere else entirely? Okay, Caracas was the name. Now we understand why. And Ponder. That's the second card drawn this turn. I'm going to try to stick Teferi this turn. Didn't shuffle the Ponder. Bouncing Urza Saga would be huge tempo here. We got in. Can I hit a land? That would just be the perfect turn. Yeah, Magic's easy. Unfortunately, it wasn't a white land to deal with the Tamiyo, but I'll take any land there. I'm not greedy. Okay, Saga's back. I can deal with a creature side or planeswalker side Tamiyo with my hand. Not worried about it. I might end step Brainstorm here, just because card quality matters. Yeah, this is a tough turn to not have white mana up. Alright, end step Brainstorm. Can I find Wrath of the Skies and just take over? No, I cannot. That's fine. I will pick this crap apart the old-fashioned way. Put back Priest and Ending. It doesn't matter. I'm redrawing one of them. Ponder. I'd like a land drop. Ooh, there's a land and a consign. This consign something I'm interested in right now. Yeah, if this was a white mana, I could Plow, Ending, and Flash and Phelia. Can't do it all. Okay, no shuffle, plus Teferi. I don't think brainstorming helps my case here. Or brainstorm puts the consign in my hand. Yeah, that actually does matter. Oh, there's a white source as well. It's nice for the future, perhaps. Priest plus Phelia, about to become my plan. So Riddler, pretty bad. All right, I'm going to put back Riddler and Priest and pass the turn. Do I need to stifle this chapter 2? I think I do. I'm not ready to deal with an Urza Saga's worth of constructs right now. I think the couple turns I just bought from doing that will get me into the Containment Priest plus Phelia loop, and then we're gaming for real. Prismatic End, the Dreadnought. I'm going to take the poke from Doorkeeper Thrall and see if I can get a second main Dreadnought on the stack, or a Null Drifter, and just have it delete to the void. Lavinia. Okay. Yeah. Played around it. Would you like to sacrifice 12 power worth of creatures? Oh, wait. You don't have that. Not even close. And I boarded out all my forces. This Lavinia is just a full nothing. Big old nothing burger. Top card on my deck is Quantum Riddler. I can decide if I want that, and I probably do. Urza Saga. Wow, they didn't even float mana on that. Just let it die. Skateboard. Tapping my Tundra. I guess I'll flash out Containment Priest then. We're out here, might as well. Ooh, a green mana revealed. Is that Veil of Summer? Is that Carpet of Flowers? Where's that going? Okay, This is actually fine, because now I actually do value, or no, no I don't. I was about to say I value Teferi more than I value Phelia, but that's not even true, actually. Right. I'm going to cast Phelia before they're able to counterspell it, but I am going to let Teferi die. They drew a card. I gotta hope the 2 cards in their hand are not White Source Swords to Plowshares right now. And they're not. Good news, everybody. Reload. Cast with Warp. We got smiley faces in the chat. I set this shit up over multiple turns. Can't be mad at me. Yeah, I'm gonna plow, I think, Tameo. And then this gives me 2 more draws off of Riddler. And we're back. Consigned to Memory still up. Full Grip. Another Teferi. That worked out nice, and that was made possible by not being under pressure from all those constructs. They would have been 6/6s. So this consign from earlier, buying me the time to set up this game that I wanted to be playing. All right, cast with Replicate. Replicate 1. I don't want this card in play. That messes up my deck too hard. And if Torpor Orb's not in play, then I don't have to consign any of the other stuff that I would normally be worried about. Right, that's Swords to Plowshares. Whatever this Tropical Island's for probably just cost them a lot of action. Because I was able to get so aggressive with Phelia last turn because I was pretty sure nothing was going to happen because they were tapped out of white. Wrath of the Skies, love seeing that one. And then I can delete Lavinia. Do I care about Lavinia? Or I could just take out a clue token right now. Because I'm going to flicker Teferi back up to 4 loyalty anyway. Skateboard. Oh, Skateboard is in play right now. Shit. That's annoying. That makes the construct actually good. All right, I'll bounce Urza Saga. It's not what I wanted to be doing. If I could have second mained this Wrath of Skies, I'm just playing poorly. All right, fine. I accept that I played that turn poorly. But I also think I'm still in a pretty good spot. Yeah, if I bounce Lavinia, attack with Phelia, flicker out Teferi, Wrath of the Skies for 1, my opponent loses all of these permanents and the Urza Saga, and then their hand is Lavinia. I didn't put all the pieces there. Normally, so like what happened in my brain there, which, it doesn't make sense, but I'll tell you what actually happened in my brain, is that when you flicker Quantum Riddler with Phelia, you don't get the card till the end of turn, but Teferi is obviously a different permanent that draws the card now, and you're beefing up its loyalty at end of turn. It's just a totally different thing. So it did not make sense to do that in that way. All right, so they're taking just a divination on this Null Drifter. With Teferi in play, they can't even draw a Stifle or anything to save it. Just gone. Tameo. Not another card that dies to Wrath of the Skies. That's unlucky. Okay. Plus Teferi, and this will be in effect, this Teferi bubble, even if this Teferi flickers out and is a different Teferi, which is my plan. Attack you, Phelia, beefing up here. And it's actually sick, because my Wrath of the Sky is in my end step, which is the right time to do it, so they can't crack the clues at all. End step Wrath of the Skies is also going to turn off Pithing Needle, which turns on Caracas. And I'm just going to put some extra energy in the bank here. I'm going to go X equals 3, but only actually spend 1. There are other Wraths in my deck. Look at this reminder text on Lavinia. BoshNRoll controls 8 lands. Hell yeah, I do. I'm going to bounce Lavinia here. I'm not bluffing anything. There's no tricks to be tricked. I'm just going to make the play that is the best for me, assuming everything goes perfect. Doorkeeper Thrall. Couldn't stop that anyway. And it's not doing anything. Deal. And now I'm in the draw 2 cards every turn loop. Lockmare. Let's go. My favorite hero. And they're scooping to it. Lockmare too good. Yeah, that game was actually pretty sweet. Once that multi-turn blowout into the Riddler refill happened, we were smooth sailing, but I think all the decisions, like these first 6 or 7 cards in my graveyard worth of decisions, were all pretty interesting. Okay. On the draw, do I want any Force of Wills in? Do I want the 3rd Consign to Memory in? Consign's actually doing a lot against this deck. I think I don't want Back to Basics, and I do want Consign. Because I don't think my opponent's hacking my mana. We've played 2 pretty long games without seeing a Wasteland. Good chance the deck has at least 1 Stifle in it. I don't know their list exactly, but I think I just want really good mana. Alright, I like my hand. This is where I hope against the Blind Pithing Needle on Flooded Strand. They're on a Mull to 6. Tundra Tameo. Alright, they've been very good at having Tameo every turn 1, and I am just gonna donk it. I don't want to play the sub-game. I actually think I'm quite good against Phyrexian Dreadnoughts and Null Drifters as a overall deck, but I'm not good against Tameo Ultimates. Nobody is. Saga. And Torpor Orb. Yep, snuck that in, bullied through my Consigned to Memory. I would like to develop Phelia this turn. There's that green again. Null Drifter. Alright, I guess this is a Consign with Kicker. I could just Consign the body twice and let them draw cards, but I think I want to get greedy here. I would prefer that they just get nothing out of their card. Cool. Now I gotta prepare myself for Phyrexian Dreadnought, and I know there is a Skateboard in the deck, but they can't tutor Dreadnought and Skateboard in the same turn. I'll develop Narset here and dig for answers to a Resolve Dreadnought. Narset, dig, find Stress Down. Not a great card against most of their deck, but they're now disincentivized from making a construct. Though maybe you do it anyway. I don't know. Depends on what you're doing with your mana. Alright, showed me what's what. If the Skateboard is just in your hand, you definitely want the construct here. Though you can't play and activate Skateboard this turn. That's a 2-mana play. Alright, yeah. Okay, they have crapped their crappers into play, and it's my job to be alive in the near future, which actually might be kind of hard given my hand right now. Oh, they surveilled away a Mull Drifter, or a Null Drifter. Oh, right, because it doesn't draw cards. It's just an expensive clunker. Alright, white cards off of this Narset. Wrath of the Skies, don't mind if I do. You know, I guess I should just chase the dream here. I'll take the Wrath, cast it for 1, and hope I don't get Force of Willed. Nice. Alright, the battlefield is clear. I have 6 cards in my hand to their 3, and I have a Narset in play that may or may not be doing anything. Lavinia as well. I think I want Tameo plus Phelia. End step fetch. Swords to Plowshares, you got me. I'm happy to take any kind of little 1-for-1 trade that doesn't add to their board right now. They kill Tameo, they counter Phelia. None of this is important to me. What's important to me is them not hitting me for 12 right now when my hand has no removal in it. They drew up Plains. There's a little thing to think about here, which is if I flicker out Narset, it does create a moment where they can brainstorm. I think I just have to accept the possibility of that moment existing. It has to be exactly brainstorm for this to be a punish. Lavinia go in. Okay, yeah. No, brainstorm, that's fine. We knew that was a possibility. But I think having the Narset back up to 5 loyalty, chug in 2 more cards out of the deck, it's fine with me. I'm also just going to hope that this deck full of creatures doesn't have sweepers in it. If they suddenly flip it on me and Wrath of the Skies me for my whole board, that stinks. But I just don't think they're going to have that card. The old Urza Saga Wrath of the Skies strategy. All right, it's very hard to flip Tameo when there's a Narset in play. Narset, do your thing. A Teferi and a Swords to Plowshares. I think I want to just like keep being a jerk with these Planeswalkers. They can only Force of Negation right now for interaction. Hardcast that, and then they're Hellbent. Alright. It's wise to your game. Just some attacks that do very little here. But I get a clue. And now you get a clue. Unless you think the 2 damage per turn is worth more than that. A clue created. They can only crack that on my turn. And only 1 at a time. Bonus Phelia. Now I have an answer to Tameo or to Torpor Orb. I'm probably more worried about Orb than Tameo right now. Cracking their clue. This is the time you're allowed to do that. Consign to Memory versus Ponder. I'll take Consign. I'm just trying not to get got by one of their big O's. And I am going to flicker out Narset, even though them having Brainstorm right now is very different than them having Brainstorm earlier when I did this all those turns ago, because this would flip their Tameo. but then it would just be a easily answerable Planeswalker come my next turn. All right, cracked one clue, just in case I hit a land drop there, but I'm not going to keep cracking them or cast this Brainstorm. I have interaction up that I might want mana for. Saga. I have Dress Down that can wipe out the constructs, and Prismatic Ending that can get the Dreadnought on the other end. Not worried about much from that right now. End step, crack a clue. There's a Plains. Something's happening in my upkeep. The clue's being cracked. Okay. Narset activation. I'll grab a Ponder, because I already have a Brainstorm. Attack. I'm going to flicker out Narset, but first I'm going to make a Tameo clue, and then I'm going to Brainstorm before Narset's gone, in case my opponent is tempted to Brainstorm for an answer to my Brainstorm, or to my Tameo. Didn't have any of that. Plus Tameo, land drop, Teferi. Heck yeah. What am I worried about here? Almost nothing is the answer. Yeah, I'll just plus Teferi. That lets me ponder and consign on their turn. I'm not worried about this chapter 2, this game, because of the Dress Down. And then I can bounce Torpor Orb this turn, which means it won't be in play when this reaches chapter 3 to try to get a Dreadnought. End a turn, crack a clue, and is flush. Okay, now I don't even have to remove the Torpor Orb. I got a lot going on here. Right, plus Tameo, that's happening. I can bounce the orb, then reset to Fairy, but then I can't Prismatic Ending on their turn. Do I care about that? All right, I'll bounce the orb. Lots of ponders right now. I'm just looking to hit a land drop. My hand is already mono spells. Ooh-wee. Okay. I found the land. Wrath of the Skies under it. Wrath is one of those you cannot possibly lose the game anymore cards. I think what I'm going to do is flicker out their Tameo, play Containment Priest, and just hold up. Dress Down into their Urza Saga. There's basically nothing that their deck can do about that with all these hooks in. Could trade with Lavinia right now. I don't actually care about that. I could plow this construct, but I just don't care about Lavinia. It's the same clock. Okay, Tameo comes back, but then gets exiled in the end step. Hey, Urza Saga. What's this doing? Nothing. Just scooping it up. Okay, yeah. As a Dreadnought deck, hard control is one of your nightmare matchups. Just decks that can easily shrug off a 12-12 and then keep the game going. And then if your first wave doesn't work, they're even more set up for your second wave. This game was a little dicey. There was a point where my opponent had a couple threats in play and my hand wasn't flush with removal, but once that window cleared, it's pretty clean. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2 with a little disparate but functional enough hand. I'll keep. I don't have a counterspell or a removal spell, but I do have threats to deploy. And what if they're just Dredge or Reanimator? That would be so sick. All right, removal problem solved. Here comes Tameo. Is she about to be pushed fatally? She did not. Okay. Scalding Tarn. Lion's Eye Diamond. All right. Off we go. Maybe. All right, they didn't go off. Saying there's a chance. Okay, my hand is very poor against almost all decks that would play Lion's Eye Diamond. The one exception is Dredge, though if they haven't done anything yet with a Dredge deck, they are messing up pretty badly. My guess is this is the Epic Storm. Brainstorm with a shuffle. Show me that commercial district. Ooh, Elegant Parlor. Okay. Keeping me on my toes with what otherwise unplayed fetch land, surveil land combo they're representing. Good news here is I'm immune to duress and Thoughtseize because my hand already sucks. Like my out here, if they start going, is to crack a clue into a force, which I play 5 of. So if they spin with Echo of Eons, I might just take the draw and not even try to counter it because I do have a main deck consign in addition to all those forces. Well, Squelcherino. All right, well, I'm going to plow that on the way out if they Echo here. Okay, they do have Echo. I'll plow the Squelcher. This does mean Tendrils has to do 2 less because I gave them a Storm and I paid 2 life to do this. Is my hand good? No. There is a Brainstorm there, though. I could get another look. This main deck is much worse into decks like Storm than the Stifle build is. Instead of 5 of that effect, I have 1. I'm hoping for a bad Echo here. You have a bad Echo. I slam Narset. Your engine doesn't work anymore. Fingers crossed. God, Chrome Mox for nothing. Hate that. It smells like a Beseech the Mirror. Or they're just trying to turn on Opal to do something else with. Silence. My out here is Brainstorm into 2 Force of Wills. I guess I have to take it. I do have the 2 blue cards. All right, how about 0 Force of Wills? Game on. All right, go nuts over there. I am silenced. Hopefully their hand sucks and they were just using that as trying to flush out a force. Nope, just a deterministic win instead. And by deterministic, I mean they can just get Tendril straight up because Storm's already 11. All right, cool. Yeah, I was not set up to play against Storm with that hand. Lavinia. Consigned to memory. Probably Hydroblast. I saw Gamble in their deck. I think Wrath of the Skies is actually reasonable into them. Claire and Conquer is excellent. Rest in Peace might be okay. It turns off a lot of their Echo lines. Okay, Containment Priest out. Swords to Plowshares. Less of that, though I did see Hexing Squelcher, but I'm bringing in Hydroblast. Yeah, Hydroblast is perfect because that counters Burning Wishes, Gambles, and can kill a Hexing Squelcher where Swords to Plowshares only does one of those multiple functions. I like that. I like Narset. Teferi doesn't matter much. Teferi is blue. That's what I like about Teferi. But most of the cards I'm going to have in my deck are going to be blue. I love Narset. I like Riddler and Phelia. Lockmare might be a cut. This is mostly in to beef up against creature decks. It is just a large creature itself, and then the stun ability, of course, only affects creatures. As a 4-mana draw 1 card, it's not that good into fast combo decks. Right, Rest in Peace. Do I want this? This turns off Gaia's Blessing, or Gaia's Will lines, and Echo lines. Probably worth it. My opponent will not be attacking my mana at all. I could cut a basic Plains. Or I could cut back to basics. I don't actually want that card. The only thing I like about it is that it's blue. And if that's true, I would bring Teferi or Lockmare back in. I could cut down to 20 lands and bring in 1 more blue card. I am going to try that. Right, Teferi, you're back in. Okay, this hand's pretty good if I get a second turn. It doesn't help me get a second turn, though. All right, I will... What just happened? I just hit Mulligan by accident? Okay. I guess I misclicked, but this hand is better, so good job, B. Yeah, I meant to keep that hand. I think I'm going to bottom... It's either the Plains, or I could bottom the Archive and then just fetch for it if my opponent doesn't do anything here. Because I can't play the Archive tap. That tells a story I don't really want told. Yeah, I will keep and bottom Meticulous Archive, and then hopefully just fetch it this turn immediately. Opponent kept 7 after some pause, some deliberation. Tap land. That's the thing that I couldn't do on turn 1, but that's the strategic advantage of being a Storm deck. They know I'm not going to kill them if they have a tapped land. Meticulous Archive, you're in there. Force of Will. Yes, please. I'll take that one. Ponder. Oof. I like the Phelia to get something going. I don't like that I don't have blue mana up right now. I'm going to shuffle this. Cool. Got away with it. Shuffling there's kind of fun, too, because it shows weakness, though my hand is Force Blue card consigned to memory, which is not weakness in the matchup. Yeah, it's pretty weak to that, though. And my Hydroblast just went away. Ponder, Phelia, and another consign. I'm going to grab Phelia to my hand and pass the turn, as Hexing Squelcher doesn't stop you from countering abilities, which includes the Storm ability. Burning Wish can't be countered. Thoughtseize. I guess I should jump in Phelia here. I don't think that's when it's going to get Thoughtseized, and that shuffles away the Consign I knew was on top of my deck. But pressuring their life total is how I'm going to do anything here. The Ponder. Okay, so they don't care about Consigned Memory. That's bad news. It's something huge right here. That's not it. I was hoping for something like Narset. Flicker out nothing. I don't think they're going to block. And if they do, great. Yeah, them taking the Ponder is pretty horrible, actually. Rainstorm. Lion's Eye Diamond. Lotus Petal. Chrome Mox. They're going nuts. Silence, yeah. That's why they didn't take Consigned Memory. They attack for 2. Puts me to 16. Is that going to be the Storm difference? Can you get to exactly 8 Storm? Oh, Echo Viance, sure. Alright. My hand's really good now. I need to not die to their fresh 7. I am currently silenced. Though I was silenced anyway by the Hexing Squelcher, but Consigned Memory. That one would have still worked. Alright. Yeah, it got me. Hexing Squelcher in this card is obviously very good, and you do have to respect it, and I tried to respect it with the Teferi and the 2 Hydroblasts that were still in my deck. Unfortunately, on the turn where I got to look at Hydroblast, I was about to miss a critical land drop, and I had to shuffle it away. Also, whether they're a build of Storm that has like 3 of these in their deck, or sometimes they have 1, and then they beseech the mirror for it on turns it's important to go off, or usually you have all your silences before you have one of these, I think. Yeah, I don't know if they just drew a 1 of twice, or if they're playing a lot of them, because this Elegant Parlor, this might not also be traditional Epic Storm either. Either way, Storm's not a matchup you want to see, really, with this build of the deck. You love Storm with the Stifle Daze build of the deck, but we're not that one. We're slower and don't interact as well on the axes they're on. All good, though. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. On the draw for round 3, Island Ponder Keep. I got Force of Will to keep me alive. This 1 of Containment Priest determined to make itself known throughout this entire league. Petrified Hamlet. Blind Name Prismatic Vista. Put me in the Shadow Realm. Wasteland. Yeah, that is the most likely thing to be naming. It looks like we're against some sort of Big Tron or Mystic Forge ramp style, whatever. My back to basics. There it is. I was just saying, like, that's probably going to be pretty useful here. That's the type of thing that could actually help me survive this game. And there are the next 2 lands to do it all. Do I want this Quantum Riddler? Not really. Okay. I'll take Windswept Heath now. I actually think I should have put that on top. That was a mistake. Sometimes these current era Big Tron decks have the Pithing Needles that look at your hand, the Sorceress Spyglass, and like they're not going to name Windswept Heath if they don't see it in my hand. So that might have been a mistake, but hopefully it doesn't punish too hard. Candelabra, Big Tron deck confirmed. Okay, so the plan here is to use Force of Will to bridge exactly this turn into back to basics, and then hope that they can't really play anymore. Though Candelabra could mess up that plan pretty badly. More lands. Do I want the second basic planes here? I don't think so. Shuffle that down to Teferi, and I'll pass the turn. Yeah, the presence of Candelabra means that even if I back to basics them, they could go like even 3 or 4 turns from now, go Urza's Tower, untap 12 mana worth of lands with 1 shot, and then suddenly like cast Ugin, and I'm out of luck. Do I want this Teferi? Teferi could bounce Candelabra, and then I could force it on the way back down, and that might buy me space to go off. What is this shit? Oh, is this Kozilek's command for 1? It is indeed. Okay. Yeah, Kozilek's command for 1. They make a spawn and draw a card. I don't think I can afford to force Candelabra. This Teferi might just plus, actually. Yeah, plus Teferi. This could set up a back to basics, bounce Candelabra all in one turn sequence, rather than splitting up. Planar Nexus, they jump from 3 mana to a quadrillion. Cast something that isn't Ugin, please. Or Emrakul. I guess any of the giant fuckos is bad for me, the Ulamogs. Can I beat this card? Not really. Alright, Force Pitching Ponder. I love that they just still have 8 mana up. That's good for me. And Manifold Key, untapping Candelabra. So they actually had more like 16 mana up. 15 mana. It's in the teens. Karn. Alright, I'm just gonna get straight up latticed here. Yeah, this is a nightmare for control decks. I even had back to basics both in my deck and in my hand, and it doesn't matter. Yikes. This is actually, at least at the time of my recording, this Tron deck is the most played deck on Magic Online, #1 by play rate, which is a different conversation than win rate. I don't have those figures. You'll have to look at one of Joe Dyer's articles over on MTG Goldfish. But at least by play rate, it's kind of crazy. And that's one of those things that can't possibly translate into real life because of 4x Candelabra in the list. It's just not going to happen. That's like $15,000 worth of Magic cards for this one Fringe Legacy archetype. So that does put big Candelabratron and Oops All spells both in the top 5 of Legacy. So you have the like $700 deck and then the $17,000 deck both represented. Wild stuff. I'm thinking about Prismatic Ending, getting one of those in there to pick off the Candelabras and those kind of things. Lavinia should be in here. I guess I'll just go 0 Swords to Plowshares and hope they don't hit me with a Warm Coil Engine or some dumb shit. Lockmare, not holding up here. Would I rather have 1 Wrath of the Skies over 1 Prismatic Ending? Probably. Alright. I'll try that. I'll keep my hand. And that last game, I just got kind of skeezed out by them passing with 3 mana available. That was just like, I thought they were gonna do something more impressive than Kozilek's command for 1. If I play back to basics, maybe that's just fine there. But even if they make the exact same play, let's say I play back to basics and they go and step Kozilek's command for 1, and they find access to all the same cards. They play Planar Nexus for their turn. They use Spawn plus Planar Nexus to untap the 2 towers with Candelabra, and then they can use one of the towers to untap Candelabra with Key, and then that untaps all their other lands. Like, the same turn happens even through back to basics. Yeah, I don't think that's something I can spend too much time being worried about having done wrong. If the colorless ramp deck can beat Force of Will plus back to basics in game 1, then it was not meant to be. Right, let's hope this Lavinia holds the fort. You've got 3 mana that you can use to cast 2 drops. That's countered. That can go straight to the graveyard. That's fine with me. All right, that's there now. What else we got? Another Lotus Petal? Okay, moral victory, even if I don't win this match, which seems honestly extremely unlikely. They cannot Kozilek's command in a way that kills my Lavinia. A Disruptor Flute and Phelia give me a pair of options here. If they put something like Karn or the One Ring on the stack, I can flute that thing in response, and then it just kind of exists but doesn't work. And if they don't do stuff, I can Phelia. You can play 3 drops here. I don't think this is my problem. I'm actually like pretty okay with that. The end step Phelia. I can flicker out the Trinisphere if I want to cast spells on my turn, or I can just hold up 3 mana for their turn. Am I willing to tap out even once? Like, one thing I could do here is to Fairy, bounce Trinisphere, flicker to Fairy. Okay, yeah. This does temporarily remove the Trinisphere from play, which means they have to replay it into my double force, while now Phelia is actually doing something. Okay, I like this play. Petrified Hamlet. It's back. This means my opponent has 5 mana this turn to cast up to 4 drops with, which means if they replay Trinisphere, I only have to think about 2 drops, and if they play a more expensive card, I can force that. Alright. I will force this. I think I'm hitting hard enough that it's okay putting those shields down. Teferi bounce nothing. Now Force of Will is back online with my 5th land. My opponent's on a 2-turn clock, and I can interact with them in a variety of ways. Alright, don't kill me. We know one of their cards in hand is Trinisphere. That I don't care about. Okay, they floated 4 mana and conceded. That's how it looks when you win a game. You have something... I'm not sure how disruptive that Lavinia actually was, but it did attack for 2 a bunch of times, and it did limit what I needed to be worried about. I'll take those where I can get them. And same deck, but now I'm on the draw where everything's worse. On the draw in game 3, I like the Force of Will. I like the Tamiyo Brainstorm. I don't like the 1 land, but try to make it work. Petrified Hamlet. They've named Wasteland both of the other games. Is it time for a blind Flooded Strand name? I fucking hope not. Alright, cool. I am getting some benefit here of the normal Phelia deck in the format does play Wasteland. I just don't. Right. I am not playing around the 1-backed basics in my deck. If it shows up, I'm going to have to imagine it'll be worse for them than it is for me. But I would just like my 2 lands that I have to cast the other 59 spells in my deck until that comes up and becomes a problem. Planar Nexus, Petrified Hamlet combo, Grim Monolith. Against some decks, you're supposed to counter that Monolith. I'm not sure if that's true against the Tron deck. But I am going to counter the Tezzeret, though, because that goes nuts with the Grim Monolith. I'd love a Consign to Memory or another Force, something to keep the grinding here. Bank my Clue, flip my Tamiyo. Good cards? No good cards. Quantum Riddler goes away. Narset actually has a lot of text in this matchup. I think it's Quantum Riddler, Brainstorm go away, plus Tamiyo. Windswept Teeth has to get a Tundra in order to cast Ponder. Ponder, looking for a Force. Ponder Phelia. This doesn't help me survive the turn. This does hit my 3rd land drop and let me play through Narset, or lets me play Narset and lets me generally play through Trinisphere if they have that. Okay, I'm not obsessed with this line, but I think it's worth pursuing. As if they stick a 1 ring here, I have Narset to at least sort of keep a lid on that. If they have Karn, that's not ideal, but Narset could dig for a Force to force what comes out of the Karn. If they play Trinisphere, I mostly don't care. Manifold Key, alright, well that's good. They have 4 mana available. The 1 ring resolves. Okay, played to my Narset on that one. But I'm pretty worried about that Grim Monolith plus Key combo. Okay, Narset, make that 1 ring worse. Brainstorms and Ponders abound here. I think Ponder is better than Brainstorm in this situation. And I am going to put Force of Will in my hand to try to give myself another turn to breathe. Though the way the 1 ring works in a Narset is they can draw 1 card on each of my turns at the cost of escalating life total loss. But they can't, like, key, go nuts, draw 5 cards right now. If they have Ugin and exile my Narset, then they can go nuts, and I'm never winning. Oh. Wasn't really ready for this guy in any of my construction or considerations for the deck. I think I just have to take that guy out. That's an actual win condition. Okay, they do seem to be out of action, but they do get to draw a card on my turn. Prismatic Vista is pretty nice. Narset, I got Consigns, I got Forces, I got a lot of good hits here. Something's happening in response. It's a Kozilek's command? Eldrazi Confluence. Exile target non-land permanent, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, make 2 1/1s. Interesting. Am I going to fight over this? Do I care? A Narset will die, so yeah, I guess I do care. I'll Brainstorm. Looking for a Consign or a Wrath or a Prismatic Ending. Got the Consign. I'll take it. Archive and Narset go back. Oh, if I flicker out Narset ever, with Phelia, they can draw a billion cards in response. Oh, that's bad. All right, never mind. Ponder's gone. I will keep the Narset. Consign to memory this spell. Oh, this Tameo is about to resolve. Maybe I was supposed to put Narset back and grab the Narset, but that's the same as putting the Ponder back. All right, I can just grab the Ponder. Or I can grab this Force of Will. Okay. Shield's back up. Plus Tameo. Narset's still in play. I can start mushing with Phelia next turn. I could pick up Consign to Memory if I'm feeling an emergency. They are taking their one card, which they should. There's a lot of single cards that flip this game for them. Versus Workshop, that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, not counting any Grim Monolith stuff that might happen. And Grim Monolith stuff is happening. Okay, they had seen the Force. They didn't know for sure I had a blue card. Just don't think I want Karn in play at all. Like, I could have let Karn resolve, pressure it with Phelia, counter whatever the second thing is they get. I don't think that's how I want to do this, though. I'll fetch for basic planes and dump out this Phelia. If I had just plus Tameo as my first action last turn, though, yeah, like that was the only thing available, and then that Eldrazi Confluence I would have been able to ignore. Yeah, that was actually just pretty bad for me. Or pretty bad by me. For me and by me. Even another Eldrazi Confluence? How many of these are in here? Oh no, this looks like a Kozilek's command. Exile Phelia, Scry X, draw a card. Okay, so they're using that mode instead of tapping their ring this turn. Might as well draw, see if I spike Consign to Memory. I spiked Force of Will. Okay, your spell resolves. There's a lot of looks. Yeah, if my opponent was on something like Mystic Forge combo, I would actually still feel pretty good just with the presence of Narset, but knowing there could be an Emrakul or an Ulamog or just some big dope here is actually pretty bad for me. They scried 3 top, 3 bottom. That's a lot of consecutive bangers. Well, speaking of consecutive bangers, though, let me flush up this hand. I could have just kept that as a redundant blue card for Force, but I think that's playing scared. A One Ring puts them to 11. They have 2 cards in their hand, both of which they put there on purpose. There's a Saga. I do have 1 Teferi and 1 Wrath of the Skies in my deck. I can also pick up Consign and counter Chapter 2. I could grind through the tokens with Phelia. Oh, I don't want to force that, so I won't. Okay, I think my plan here is plus Tameo and use Phelia to survive the turn. Or, no, this won't be able to attack yet. Okay, no, we're good. Just plus Tameo, hold up Force of Will. Fingers crossed. Try to draw half my deck next turn, which might contain back to basics plus some other action. Yeah, Lavinia, her use has come and gone. My opponent has enough lands they could cast most of their good spells. 6 lands don't cast Ugin, though. But I think if they had Ugin, it would have been rammed onto the stack by now. Do you still take your 1 card for 3 life with the One Ring? They do know what the top of their deck is right now. Yes, all right, still worth 1 card. 1 Ring busted. Even when it barely functions, still worth it. The old kill myself Gemday Tome. Is this a giant Kozilek's command? What's going on for 10 mana in my end step? It's kind of a whack Kozilek's command because they can't draw cards either. All right, so they're making all the bros and scrying X but not drawing a card. Is this just a Hail Mary into Emrakul? I mean, whatever it is, it's resolving. An uncounterable spell like Ugin or Emrakul really are my worries. And maybe that Scry 8 is actually just good enough to respect. I don't know, Magic's hard. Let's just see. Scry 8 to the bottom. 3 top, 5 bottom. When it goes to 8 from their ring. Yeah, I don't want them scrying 8, but they have so many cards that just win the game on the spot. Like Karn. All right, please cast something that doesn't have a cast trigger. Like anything that Force of Will interacts with here is fine. Oh, they filtered white out of their planar nexus. Are they trying to pee-hole me? You are trying to pee-hole me. Not today, Satan. I'll pitch Lavinia to that because she's done being useful this game. I will get to draw half my deck, and then we'll find out if it's good enough. Though, if the top card of their deck is a useful instant, like an Eldrazi Confluence, that could flicker Tameo in my upkeep before I get the chance to draw the cards. So they are technically still drawing live to interact. Big draws. Can I get to my main phase with priority? No, 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 don't do stuff. No, it's happening. What a beating. All right. Tameo is back to being a loser. And now I got to figure out this. There was a saga somehow. I don't think it can be done. Not with the Trinisphere. Yep, that was exactly what needed to happen there. Okay. I'm going to brainstorm. This will flip the Tameo back. That'll let me +1 at least a little bit. Teferi, I think you're too late, my friend. I could double spell next turn if I sequence this right. If I put back Island and Ponder, and then flip Tameo, plus Tameo, Meticulous Archive dumps Ponder, and then I draw Island and I can play Teferi and Phelia next turn, though the construct will clear Narset now, which means the One Ring will just draw 10 or 11 cards this turn. This came up a little short here. Yeah, the thing I could have done differently is Force of Will that Kozilek's command and deny them the Scry 8 and just hope that they draw a bad card that turn. It's probably better than hoping that they draw 2 bad cards in a row after scrying 8. Maybe that was just a mistake. I'm willing to believe it. Oh, is this a new One Ring? When did that happen? Where'd the counters go on this? Oh, they flickered it with their Eldrazi Confluence. Cool trick. All right. They're under no pressure at all. But that does mean it only draws 3 cards this turn. Toodled up a Candlestick. A Research Desk. It's a lot of options coming their way. Hit 2 lands off of that. One of them is Urza Saga, though. The card's Deece. Losing one of my Planeswalkers here. I think Narset's more important, but we'll see what they think. Yeah. Going after the Narset. Tameo will survive. Maybe. I mean, they're still going to draw 3 cards this turn if they want them all. Ring activation number 1. Ring activation number 2. And there's still 12 mana available from their lands, plus another 8 from their creatures. Red in the pool. If they have to Research Desk here and didn't actually hit, that's good for me. Flipped Grim Monolith and Urza's Tower. Pretty bad run, actually. They're still so likely to win this game. They're just going to see half their deck next turn. And I still have to deal with these 2 8/8s. I can deal with one of them in my hand. Drawing Wrath of the Skies here would be pretty nice, I guess. Wrath off the top. Oh, right. I knew that was Island. It was there the whole time. Literally just knew that. Okay. Teferi. This was part of the plan. Bounce a 9/9. Did not draw Wrath of the Skies. Plus Tameo. And hold on for dear life. Opponent's down to 6. The Candelabra with the Urza Saga is a combo. They can make multiple constructs per turn. They're still just ripping cards off with the One Ring. I probably would be too. There's so many instant game enders in their deck. Tezzeret untapped the One Ring. That means Manifold Key is still up for zillions of mana. With Candelabra in play, that just represents so much. Fleshraker, okay. Now I'm dead. Maybe not immediately or literally. And actually, Trinisphere is slowing them down a little bit here, but it doesn't look good. Opponent went up to 5 on the ring. Is there any way to scam this Phelia through and get 1 attack in? Certainly doesn't look like it. Not when they're making all these spawns. Yeah, opponents somehow decking themselves or losing track of their own life total with Ancient Doom and the One Ring are my only outs here. Which are not good outs. Making a construct in the main phase. That probably means they're about to just elbow tap into the Candelabra and untap everything, and they just have so much mana they might as well make a construct. Phelia's on chump block duty now, and if they tap their key, so they can't make construct unblockable. But if their 10-card hand contains anything that deals with 1 creature, they're good. So any Eldrazi Confluence or Kozilek's command does the work here. They're tapping mana. Bad news, everyone. And Kozilek's command just kills me anyway with the Fleshraker. That's just Fireball. They floated 13 mana, then didn't do anything. What the hell was that? Are they just doing tricks on it? And they said, I don't care. Go ahead, have your chump block. I'll kill you next turn. It doesn't matter. Is that what just happened? Well, they just tapped the Ancient Tomb, so clearly they are just going to win. Yeah, this game, I mean, other than a back to basics, I basically had access to everything I wanted. There's a consigned to memory, 3 Force of Wills in my graveyard. I bought back one of those Force of Wills once. I had a Planeswalker ticking up, meaningful interaction up to the point where it just wasn't meaningful anymore. Okay, yeah. It had the Kozilek's command. And they had everything. Once the One Ring untaps, it's over. Yeah, abysmal matchup. If you want to be anyone playing any kind of mid or slow pace game in Legacy right now, you have to have a very real plan for this. This deck in some ways is actually more scary than Mystic Forge combo because like Forge combo is strong and resilient. It's not really a glass cannon, but it doesn't have crushing inevitability if you get a lid on it. This has the best draws of that deck, plus it does have crushing inevitability as well. Yikes. Candelabra of Tawnos. Thank God for the reserve list. That's the only thing keeping this deck from being everywhere. On to the next round.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
On the draw in round number 4. If Swords to Plowshares is good in this matchup, my hand's great, and if it's not, my hand sucks. I think I have to mulligan this. No, I'm going to keep it. I will take the gamble. I'm just fully understanding that I'm gambling here, and if my opponent leads on, like, Nethergoyf right now, we might be gaming. If they lead on Dark Ritual, it's over. Okay, Thoughtseize. Nothing really worth taking in my hand, if this is a Doomsday or Storm or anything like that. Took the Phelia. This is where I draw Force of Will and get away with it. Murder. Brainstorm, okay. That gives my hand some dimensions, at least. The Prismatic Vista means I'm going to have to commit to either Plow or Brainstorm, though. Preordain. Crazy-looking Preordain. What is going on here? Secret Lair drop series. Yeah, obviously. I wish just in general, like on Magic Online, on Scryfall, on TCG Player, on Moxfield, everywhere, I wish Secret Lairs told you which one they were from. Mousing over this in Secret Lair drop series doesn't help. Tell me Secret Lair drop series, whatever. What is this actual location? All right, I'm going to brainstorm now before Orcish Bowmaster is the thing I have to think about. I'm going to get rid of Prismatic Ending and back to basics. Back to basics, Prismatic Ending. Float those back. So Preordain's actually really interesting because normally that would indicate this is a combo deck. But with Flow State in the format, people are looking for just fringe playable sorceries. Okay. This might actually just be Dimir Tempo, which is a little awkward because I do want to hit a land drop here, which means I have to fetch away that removal spell. They ponder. I've got Plow ready if they Bowmaster me. Shuffle. Looking for lands here. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I guess I'll just cast Tamiyo then. All right. If you're farting around, I've had good opportunities to fix my hand. I'm starting to get a picture of what this matchup is. Tamiyo didn't just get fatal pushed in the end step. That's nice. What's going on over there? Is their hand just all creatures and they're actually paralyzed by the double Plow they saw earlier? The big Barrow Boy. Okay, I could end step Plow this to bully through Force of Will, or I could untap to bully through Daze. I think I want to bully Daze, because I could force back on a Force, but just getting Daze there would be pretty bad Magic playing by me. Okay. I like that island. That lets me flip Tamiyo here. Are we turning it around? Now they need to snuff out, which I think they would have cast by now if they had. Bang. All right, just like that, I have a flipped Tamiyo on a stable board. Okay. Dare I say, I have a little hope. Flow State. Okay, yeah, this is a 1-card Flow State. That Preordain is just here to turn on Flow State in a Dimir Tempo deck. Paying 2 mana, Anticipate is not a legacy card. sorcery speed anticipate. So like that's actually great. Just pure RNG that they haven't had a brainstorm yet or didn't have a fatal push on time for my Tameo, but now adding their 4th sorcery to the graveyard without really advancing the game at all. I'm really glad I played around Dazed now. If I had both gotten my Plow Dazed and turned on their Flow State, that would have been the double middle fingers. Do I want Narset involved in this game or Lockmare involved in this game? I'm going to plus Tameo. And I'll play Meticulous Archive because that's just happening anyway. Land number 6. Honestly, with Lockmare, I don't think that's even bad. Here we go. Horsing around big time. I'm going to activate Lockmare on their turn. I didn't want to run it straight into a on-curve Bowmaster in my own end step. Like, at least tap your own mana if you're going to Bowmaster me. Undercity Sewers dump to Tameo. Snuff out. I'd like to draw a card before this is gone. Okay, that turns on Flow State. Their 7th card to go into their graveyard is successfully an instant. And now I have to make real decisions. I think I'm not going to force the Flow State. But this is where this card takes over the game. I'm sitting here with a pretty good board position, pretty good cards in hand, but if each of their cards is 2 cards. Wow, all air. Let's take it. Cool. That's a weird concession to the... Or I guess they know that I have Plow in my hand. So trying to think of like YOLO Bowmaster into my Tameo emblem to kill me. I think that's something I have to think about. Okay. I made a bet that game that Swords to Plowshares would be good in the matchup on a hand that was either a like 9 or a 1. And we ended up in the 9 zone. Happy with that. I want to bring in Rest in Peace. That makes Goyf's bad and Flow State's bad. Force of Negation, definitely not for this matchup. Force of Will, kind of mid as well. Back to Basics, I don't normally like versus tempo decks, and I don't think I like it here either, but I am going to try it. I'll at least give it a chance. Because the problem with Back to Basics is that these decks can play on 1 or 2 lands, and they usually have one of each basic. Ooh, alright, I might have just talked myself out of it. I was thinking they might have 1 basic, but this is Dimir. They're going to have both. So if they're trying to settle into long, grindy flow state games, this might be different than regular tempo planning. I will actually try the Back to Basics. Containment Priest I'm not in love with, but Wrath of the Skies frequently just kind of misses against these decks. Maybe I'll just have 1 sweeper in for good measure, though that does sweep up my stuff too. Consigned to Memory, not a lot of hits in their deck. I can scam out my own Riddler. That doesn't sound very good, though. Maybe I'll just keep Containment Priest in for the Phelia Exile synergy, though Consigned to Memory does that too, without turning off my Phelia completely. I could bring in Savines for the spots where I don't have Rest in Peace in play. Obviously, this is a complete non-bow, but you're not going to drop both of them in every game. Okay. I think I talked myself into that, ultimately. And I don't expect Back to Basics to be good, but I am going to leave it in. Yikes. Okay, this is similar to the last hand, though Prismatic Ending is a lot worse than Swords to Plowshares. I got 21 lands in my deck. I'm a big fan of this Rest in Peace. I think I want a mulligan. This hand's just bad. Okay. I'll keep this one and get rid of the Tundra. Ponder. Sorcery, check. Well, I've drawn both Force of Wills that are in my deck. I'm actually going to wait on Tameo. Next turn, I can play Caracas, play Tameo, and then Tameo is safe from Daze and or a removal spell. If I get Thoughtseize here and lose the Tameo, that's fine, I guess. All right, cool. Caracas, Tameo. Setting the stage for a showdown. Or a 2-for-1. They might just go to their turn, wasteland me, and then do whatever they were going to do to Tameo. But if I can get anything off of this Caracas, I'll take it. End step, Surveil land. Kept the card. Wasteland. Discovered. I'll float a white. Hopefully that was worth some tempo, even if I end up losing my Tameo here. And I won't use Force of Will to protect Tameo. I think I can do better on a Barrogoy for some big showdown later. Thoughtseize, sure. Dig in. I think it's obviously going to be Riddler or Plow. It just depends on if they're worried about their creature surviving or me doing anything. Riddler's gone. Now I might actually force Yeah. Now that I don't have a backup plan, this Tameo actually, being worth a few cards here is going to be important, especially if I just rip Brainstorm right off the top. They didn't snuff out pre-combat, so I don't think they have one. Or in their own end step even. Just like that, we're back. Okay, I'm going to float the Plow on top to play around Thoughtseize, because I'm not going to fetch here anyway. My cards are all good. I need lands and spells. You're Tameo. Draw for turn. Fetch. Plains. Prismatic Ending. Cool. Guess we just chase the dragon here, plus the Tameo. Opponent, reasonable to suspect I still have Plow. I have Brainstormed since they saw my hand, but this is clearly a card I would not shuffle away in this matchup. The Bromasters. I'm going to roll the dice on a Tundra. I just don't want two basic planes in play. It doesn't cast a lot of the spells I'd like to draw. All in. They do have instant and sorcery. If they start chaining flow states here, that stinks. Bowmaster stinks too. Now they are kind of doing damage to Tameo. One card left in hand, Dothy Voidwalker. All right, that's a lot of pressure. Well, I might just grab Swords to Plowshares then, if this is what we're going to be doing. Tameo's not surviving this turn anyway. Delete it, get Plow back. Tameo's in the Void. Means Plow's also going to be in the Void. But I'd like to draw cards. Okay. I'm under quite a bit of pressure. I've got some good draws. We're both top decking. Opponent's got more going on than me, though. If they cast Tameo out of the Void and she flips, I get it, which is a little friction. But even just taking the clue every turn and being careful how you cantrip might be worth considering for them. Yeah! Free money! I'll take that. Leaving Voidwalker back. Opponent is thinking about casting a spell. Wow. Alright, deal. Here comes my Tameo. Big money. Nope, no money at all. Okay, let's see if this gamble pays off for them. They can't cast Brainstorm anymore this game. They can't ponder and crack a clue in the same turn. But drawing 2 cards a turn is going to be pretty nice. And they're safe from Caracas because that's in my graveyard already. I can't just bounce it back to my hand and play it. I do have Teferis in my deck, though. That would be an exciting thing to bounce. A clue token, that's your second draw. That means there's no ponders, no preordains, none of that coming this turn. Wow, they don't know how this works. Bad news for you, opponent. Well, that's the other out, I guess, is they just don't know how this interaction is. They were probably pretty excited about that, and now I have a Tameo. Oh, shame concede. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that if you haven't seen it before or didn't fully read the cards, you do make this mistake once and then you don't make it again. I have done this before as well, or a long time ago, and I think it was with somebody else. I think I might have like reanimated an Ajani or something and thought I would get a Planeswalker. But yeah, a mistake you make once. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with The Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
The final round is upon us. I'm on the draw. Positive record on the line. Island Ponder, baby. Also, Island Tameo Brainstorm. I got my Entomb Reanimate here. The Tameo Brainstorm combo. I feel like somebody with a Fire Prophecy avatar would lean towards combo or something aggressive. Maybe the cat deck. I don't know, that's just a vibe I get. It's a weird card to choose out of all cards that exist. Look at that. Look at that Soul Read. May or may not matter. I mean, they played the land tap, so I'm not just dead. I'll take that. I'm going to have to ponder here instead of playing Tamiyo, which is what I wanted to do. Shuffle this. Didn't hit. Still didn't hit. All right. Was this hand the nuts with a little setup? Can you miss the payoff maybe? Give me another turn? Doesn't look like I'm going to get that. Okay. Face up Informer. Do you have a mana to activate from hand? Yes. All right. Oops, all spells. It is. Let's look at the list. Should have trusted in the Fire Prophecy avatars tech. 4 in Archimedes is a lot of those. Does that mean they're on 0 Poxwalkers? Is that how the builds work? There are Pact of Negations present. Dread Return, Thassa's Oracle, Cabal Therapy. I don't see a Bridge from Below or a Poxwalker in this list. I don't see a Jack-o'-lantern either. Does that mean they're even more all in? Like these slots for like the duresses in the main on top of the Thoughtseizes, on top of the packs, does that just mean they're betting fully on the combo working when they fire it? This is kind of constructed like old school pre-anti-graveyard tech. Oops, all spells. Pre-Poxwalker, oops, all spells. Man, I'm still dead, but interesting construction. Okay, good card, good card, good card. Good card, good card. Yeah, where was my Containment Priest? It was in my opening hand of every other match this league. Celestial Purge, probably bad. Consigned to Memory, good. Clarion Conqueror, mixed bag on that one. It's very slow, but it is the type of thing that can slam the door closed. Lockmare, sorry fella, you're done. Prismatic Endings out. Swords to Plowshares. Most of those out. I want to respect a creature juke at least a little bit, but not a lot. It's very, very slow and does very little. It stops me from Pact of Negation. Narset's probably worse than Teferi in this matchup. Like, if they can't Memory's Journey and can't Pact of Negation, Teferi actually does do a lot to... Not that Teferi doesn't stop them from comboing, but it stops all of their counter combo. All right, I have 1 plow in here. 2 Teferis, Phelia, 2 Containment Priests. I do still have... And I like all my forces. If they go for a turn 1 Unstoppable Slasher, I can battle it there. Okay, here we go. A once per league oops tax for the positive record. Okay, my hand is decent. I'll keep it. And it's not insane, but it is in the range of a keep. I wish this Caracas was another blue mana, but I'll have to live with it not being the case. Depending on how their list changes after board. Oh, now they have 61 cards in the deck. I wonder if they board into the Memory's Journey tech. As the Memory's Journey was the 61st card that was innovated into the 61 card oops shell. And they had 60 in game 1. Now they have 61. Understanding exactly what all those differences mean could be the difference between winning and losing in Razor type matchups like this. That's why I spent so much time talking about it when I pair into oops. Like exactly what they flip into, if they do flip, how many cards are in their deck, what interaction they're showing. All that matters. Also, there's just nothing to say. The match is going to be over in 3 minutes one way or another, and I got to fill the air somehow. But filling it with deck list decisions, because deck build is the early game versus oops all spells, and then mulligans is the mid game, and then turn 1 is the late game. Elmire, untapped. Lotus Petal. I could have consigned that. I hope I'm not punished by not doing that. Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is not good against my hand, because I just have basically 3 of the same piece of interaction. I have 2 consigns and a dress down. My hand has the opposite problem. It can't deploy all of its hate or all of its interaction fast enough. Sometimes hands have like a plan and then 1 piece of interaction, and sometimes they have a bunch of interaction but no plan. And Thoughtseize is not good into the bunch of interaction but no plan hands. It's good into the other one. Opponent could do something like Thoughtseize my Riddler, then reanimate it. That would be pretty annoying. I don't have a lot of counterplay to that. I took the dress down. Sure. That was a good card to draw right after getting Thoughtseized. Not gonna lie. Elmire tapped. All right, blue source to keep the train rolling here. Oh, that's so much better. Whop! All right, hope that was good. This is where they just belcher me with packed back up. I've basically drawn the best 2 cards in a row I could draw after getting Thoughtseized, and let's hope it's good enough. Undercity Informer. This is going to be in 2-3 beatdown mode. I'm just going to have to bet on Riddler to be better than that. Okay, Meticulous Archive. I like this. I'll dump this bonus Riddler. I don't need that. And do I want to ponder here? I think I do. Force of Negation, Containment Priest, Phelia. And I like Phelia a lot here. Containment Priest, not so much. Yeah, I guess I'll put the Force in my hand, draw Phelia next turn. I was going to use Quantum Riddler, or Consign to Memory to scam out Quantum Riddler. But this covers, like, double covers me from a Belcher pivot. They're not going to deal 20 before I get Phelia Riddler going. I'm into this plan. Pegademe, zapped in again. Ooh, they're going beats. And they can target me with this, which will clear the Phelia I just put on top. You know what? No. You can't have that, actually. We're playing the weird sub-game now. Okay, if they play another Balustrade Spy, they can have that. I no longer care, but I do want this Phelia. Undercity Informer resolves. That's fine. End step. Don't use Caracas, dummy, in case they boarded in removal somehow. I don't know where that shit would even come from, but just in case. The Quantum Riddler. Draw a card. I do lose Phelia on this attack, but I don't need her anymore once I have a 4-6 in play against my opponent's entire plan of 2-3s. I could even bounce it with Caracas. All right, never mind. I just get it all. Boing. I still have Force or Consign up. All right, I feel pretty good about this game at this point. They would have to remove Rest in Peace through Force of Negation and then win. So I guess if they have, I guess if they do have that, they do win. Like, that is how that works. All right, there we go. Now I got to get one on the draw. Should I have Celestial Purge in instead of Swords to Plowshares? Plow is in case they're on a creature juke. But there's no black permanents they would have in play. They're not going to board into Necro Dominance or anything like that. So I think Plow is actually the same card as Celestial Purge in these post-war games. All right, yeah, whatever. Here we go. This is what I got. Okay, a hand with Force of Will and the ability to look at some more cards after pitching, probably Quantum Riddler. Gotta take it. Opponent with the old turn 1 nothing. I like that. I'm gonna develop Tamiyo. Like, having drawn the second Force means developing Tamiyo has a lot of upside. I would have pondered if I hadn't found the second Force here. All right, another nothing. So they must have one of these nutball hands that just needs 1 mana to pop off, or their hand is already able to pop off. They are just under no pressure, so they're going to take time to sculpt. I'm going to attack, then I'm going to brainstorm. Tamiyo flips, and I still have Force blue card, even if I completely whiff here. Another Force. I don't think I need this Ponder or this Prismatic Vista. I'll leave the Vista on top in case I just end up in a spot where drawing a land is worth doing. Yeah, Force, 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 blue card, blue card, blue card. Pretty good position to be in, but somehow still not safe. Okay, Agademe. I think they would have played that land out tapped if they could. All right, Thoughtseize resolves. Have a Gander. And I can just pick up whatever they Thoughtseize with Tamiyo next turn. Fetch for Meticulous Archive. I'm looking for one of my hammers. That's not it. Yo, all right, I like that. I would like this Force of Will back in my hand, and I'll just pass the turn. They're not under any pressure, but hopefully I can change that eventually. Containment Priest, that's pressure. Plus Tamiyo. Land for turn. Main phase Priest plays around Pact of Negation and means I don't have to discard to hand size. And the good guys prevail. Positive record with Control Phelia, the non-tempo version. Got fully dumpstered by Storm and actually had a pretty good game versus Tron, at least as good as games with Control versus Tron can get. Like, we took them to 3 and they did have to string together some stuff, and there was a decision I could have made that might have won the game. And, you know, like, at least we were making decisions there. Only played against one Flow State deck, and they didn't really get Flow State online during our match. We didn't actually have to see the Flow State into Flow State into Flow State stuff into our fair blue deck, which is what I'm worried about. So if your metagame is on combo decks or fair decks that don't have Flow State, these Phelia control decks are still perfectly viable. But before I invested money into a deck like this, if you're going to build one legacy deck and play it for a long time, I would have a friend proxy up a Flow State Delver or Flow State Demir deck and just see how that feels, see if you're willing to tolerate that gameplay. As far as tuning the actual list goes, I mean, Otis said when the deck was sent to me that the Back to Basics, the Lockmare, the Snapcaster Mage, the Containment Priest, these are all flex slots that we're just trying out. And the Back to Basics, ironically, we did queue into exactly one of the matchups it's for, and I had it in my hand, and it was not close to good enough. That might just mean that game took on weird texture, and it actually justifies having it if matchups that hopeless exist. Or it might mean that if it's not even good enough to cast on turn 3 in the matchup it's for, then you shouldn't have it at all. I would entertain either of those explanations. The Containment Priest, and it was in my hand a bunch of times in matchups that didn't matter, but then we did play one matchup where it was really good. And I did actually delete one Tameo with Phelia with the Priest. Maybe you want the Priest because you don't have the 5 stifles that the other build of this deck has into Oops All spells, but interacting on turn 2 is so much slower than on turn 1. Yeah, definitely a flex slot, just up to you. And that's how I feel about Lockmare and Snapcaster Mage as well. I mean, Snapcaster is a dope thing to be flickering with Phelia. Lockmare, if you have a bunch of mana in the late game, just every turn, drawing 2, or drawing 3 extra cards, or that removing a creature from combat while drawing a card. That's a pretty sick loop too, but you need to be in a super, super late game situation for that to kick in. And I think we're pretty good in the super late game. The Lockmare and the Snapcaster are probably more about value over replacement than they are about passing the playability bar. Like, is Lockmare just the same card as Quantum Riddler, ultimately, if you're in that ultimate late game situation? Or is it meaningfully different compared to playing something that has a unique effect? Like, this could be Erode if you want another removal spell and not more Quantum Riddlers. But maybe more Quantum Riddlers is exactly what you want. We could talk in circles about this all day. I'm just going to wrap this up. Otis, thanks for sending this in. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.